I think the most significant and the most exciting is probably just the fact that they're connected. So that helps it move from being what was essentially a passive medium, a sort of one-to-many, to being something that can be much more personal and can react to people depending on what devices they've got in their hand or through cameras in the screen like we did Women's Aid. So the connectivity of it, I think, is the most exciting thing. So I think what made it work and therefore what made it unique was that we thought about the channel in itself rather than about the idea in general. It was also a really simple idea that focused on a simple truth, so the message was quite simple. And we also made it really easy for people to interact with, so the kind of bar to engagement was quite low. So the main challenge was making sure that people realised they were having an impact upon the actual work, and that was done through two things. So how the facial recognition technology worked, and also some of the design around showing when people looked that they could see that they were impacting upon it. So that was probably the biggest difficulty. So I think the main barrier is often just making it too complicated. So expecting someone to download an app or fire up a function on their phone. So the simpler you keep it, so the low sort of input and fantastic output for the consumer, the better. And with Women's Aid, that was the big test that we had, that it had to be very easy. You didn't have to stand in a very tight spot. You could kind of be anywhere near the poster and it was going to work. So making it easy and making it rewarding. I mean, location for out of home and digital out of home in general has always been important because you've always had time of day, dwell time, proximity to where you might actually buy a product or engage with it in some way. So that's always been really important, and the more you can tailor your message to the place it's going to be at, the better. For digital out of home, it's sort of increasingly so because as you can kind of pull in more data sources, you can respond much more to what might be happening into a local area, and it feels like people are starting to do more and more interesting things with that. So definitely the most exciting piece of new technology in the world of digital out of home is just the fact that it can connect to the internet. So that in itself, I think, opens up a world of possibilities and data that you can kind of relate to and tailor executions around, like the weather, for example. So just the internet is the most important thing. Right now, I don't think people have used data that much, and I think it's largely because, at its worst, people think of digital out of home as just another channel on a media plan to tick off, and they're not necessarily thinking about its sort of unique strength. So I'm not sure it has been used that much. I'm sure it will be more, and I think our feeling certainly is that it's not just the data, it's what you do with it. So it's normally data plus some sort of tech application that makes it interesting and makes something that is, for an infinite number of people, maybe slightly more pertinent to you or a smaller group of people. So sort of data plus tech, I think, is the answer to that.